So we'll see what kind of attendance we get and what direction we take everything based on that attendance. Popping out the chat here for YouTube. And then just go ahead and let me know if you folks can see and hear me. Perfecto. Excellent. Post this link. YouTube. All right. We look like we're starting off with a small crew here so far. I'll give it another minute or two. And if it stays a small crew, I'll start enabling people's mics and go whatever direction everybody wants. Let's bring this up here. Spy chart real quick. And what I mean by wobbly day is, you get a gap down, which was interesting because we filled, after that, we filled the gap from yesterday. Came down just a touch more. We turned up for it. Back down, testing the top of the gap from yesterday. Bounced off of it. So some Elliott wave analysis right there. The primary wave. So anyways, with that said, anybody that's on the YouTube side of things, I put a link for Zoom if you want to join us on the Zoom side. So join us on that side if you like. All right, I'm gonna enable people's mics here. And interesting, Shane. I gotta pull you up to a panelist because you're running an older version or something like that. But all right, I've enabled people's mics. So if anybody has questions that's on the Zoom side, don't be shy, jump in. Generally speaking, with these small groups, I don't see it beneficial, especially because I recognize, most of your names anyways, for me to go over the same kind of beginner stuff over and over again for you. All right, if you're going to give me the silent treatment, I see how it is. Well, let's see. What did we do today? What did I do today? Took a position today. Here you go. So I know everybody's, what are you looking at? What are you looking at? And I can never tell you what I'm looking at until it's time. I'm looking at, a number of things. I saw this had earnings today. It's in shippers. It's in the shipping space. We know what the shippers have done in general lately. Had this kind of, sideways action for a couple of days after this actually outside day, this bearish engulfing. I like that gap, and it's moved right into this resistance area. The second thing that I'm looking at is this is one of those stocks that when it starts to go on a run, it can really start to go on a run. And so, we've seen the rip like this before. We've seen, even though it's a lot of gaps that got us there, we've seen a move like this here. And we've seen that. And when we started to go sideways and caught this, 8:15, I thought I'd take a shot, but stop at the actually at the close of yesterday, not the top of that candle. And here we are. So anyways, give you an idea of what I was looking at, what I'm doing. I didn't take a very big position in it, so I'm debating whether I just close the entire position or I let it run into tomorrow. I also took position in P10 today. I continuously talk about natural gas. So, Frontline here, they're a transporter of energy. P10 is a creator of energy. And so, the things that I've been watching, I've been very patient about a lot of this stuff. Thought I put it to work. Now that's in combination with knowing that we had all those down weeks in a row to start with, and the indexes in general. So I'm kind of expecting a bit of a relief bounce this week. Even if we're marginally up, these sectors that have generally been strong, I feel like they'll be able to pull out some wins. And so this is where I was finding my value or finding my setups. And so I've done so. That's that. We got these compare count windows really spiking into the close here. You've already got a camp that thinks the bottom's in. I'm not currently in that camp, but what I am is I am not a bottom caller. I'm not a top caller. I don't really care if it was a bottom. I'm going to trade the charts that I see and the setups that I see, and I will adjust accordingly to what the market gives me or does not give me. And that's all there is to it. Get caught up in all these other things. Sorry, just catching some stuff. So this is interesting. Take a look at some of these here. And coming into the close, we got some things that were down really spiking here. Now that is a quality setup right there if I ever saw one. Put out on the like list for tomorrow. Careful. And someone will say, well, why do you think it's quality setup? Well, all right, earnings are behind it. We're still trading some pretty good volume here. All right, even all those days after earnings. In fact, here's earnings. We had low volume day and day after. Volume picks up, drops, and now we have a big uptick in volume here. We got this gap, that breakaway gap, come back down. We didn't really close that gap. We held it. All right, actually, there was two gaps involved. Now I'm really looking at it. So gap one and gap two, we came down and filled this gap. We haven't come down to fill that gap. We held that on the second test of filling that gap there, and it moved up again. And while we're just slightly down today, that gives me reason to believe going into a strong close, there might be something to look at. I'd be remiss if I didn't notice this here as far as volume goes. Something big happened there and there. What it is, I don't really care, because I like the way these candles are setting up. We're above that level. We've got room up to that level. So this will be something to take a hard look at tomorrow. I'm going to do this here. Set a price alert and just track it going into tomorrow. I'll probably have to reset this a few times, but I just want it so I don't forget that's there. Asking someone earlier about how to use TradingView's optimization features. I asked if they could use Zacks RSI bounce scan, for example. They said not to worry about optimizing the scan. I simply don't know how to use it. The scan is located on Barry's homepage. I mean, you can take it and optimize it to anything you want. I'll look at, I could pull it up on from Barry's homepage. Let me look. I'm not really familiar with the scan. I don't use scans from other people. I build what I want for me. But I'll take a look here. Zacks bouncers, where are you? Zach's bouncers and toppers. All right, so copy link address, file, load from cloud. Now here's the thing with optimizing. I mean, what do you want to optimize it to? So here's the bounce plays, optimize. We can back test the strategy. I mean, what time do you want to start it at? You know, what time do you want to stop it at? You know, what kind of exit do you want to put on there for a time? What kind of risk management do you want to put, dollars or percents? You know, are we going back 64 days? So there's no like universal answer. It's, you know, you don't walk into a pizzeria and say, I'll have the pizza. You know, there's a lot of follow-up questions to any of this essentially. So, you know, you can come in here and pick any of these things you want. You know, I mean, I can throw it in as a 10 o'clock start time, we'll say. You know, we'll initiate trades in between, or we'll start at 9:45 for fun. You know, so we'll initiate trades in between 9:45 and remember, this is, you know, now we're discounting any alerts that come before 9:45. So, you know, we're narrowing down the window of times that we're quote unquote most interested in trades. All right. You know, how long of a time hold do we want? I don't know. I'll put 60 minutes arbitrarily there. You know, I have no reasoning behind any of these. Like I said, I didn't design the scan. I don't know what anything looks like coming out of it. So, you know, I'm flying 100% blind on this, where if I was going to optimize a scan, it would be something I built based on things that I wanted to see. And I'm going to add no other risk management to it currently. And we'll throw a simulate buy in there and we can see what it returns us. How do you pull an alert strategy of a MS window? When I duplicate it, just adds the existing MS window. So if you have I'm guessing you mean multi-strategy. So if we go, let me find a multi-window here. So I don't know, some random one that I have no idea what this is. Bouncing place. So if I right click, I go to strategies, I go to the strategy and I go open alert window. There's the single alert window is isolated there like that. And then from there, you know, I can use the collab feature or the cloud link or anything that I want to go. Is that what you mean, Debbie? So it's not, you know, whether it's worth adjusting or not necessarily. I mean, you know, something could show a lot of losers in it, but you could, you know, start to adjust some filters yourself. Here's one of the things with optimizing. You can over optimize and do what's called curve fitting. So what I want to point out is, while this looks great, right? We got this great looking move that's set up here. And boy, you know, this thing, we started at 50,000 and we're ending up at almost 70,000, but that all happened in one day, essentially. So, you know, we had this one massive day followed by that massive day down. And so, you know, you want to see a nice even spread of winning days with very few losing days. So these are the things that come to optimizing. I think where Barry is coming from with what he's saying is, don't get caught up in trying to make a perfect scan that's only showing you winners. You know, scans are meant to return ideas, and what you do from those ideas are based on your trading, you know, your trading plan, you know, how you share size, where you'd set a stop, how you know, risk your upside, or how you manage your upside gains, you know, things of that nature. So those are the things to look at or to consider when you get into the optimization. And, you know, there's so many things that you can go into optimizations that go. So, you know, we can come to the optimization tab here, and I'm just using this as an example here, but you can do this with any scan. You know, we can look at the time of day and what the winners look like by time of day. And right now it's in 60-minute intervals. I can make it 5-minute intervals. And then I can see, oh, well, you know, these times it's a loser and these times it's a winner. And, you know, we can come to, you know, price. Right now it's at $5 intervals, but I can put it at, you know, $1 intervals. And I could say, boy, you know, under a certain price or over a certain price, it looks real good or it looks real bad. And I can go in and start to adjust the filters from there. But like I said, the problem with only having 64 days of data, and this is one of my big beefs with it, you know, as an internal person, is you can start to curve fit things very quickly with only 64 days of data. And what do I mean by curve fitting? Meaning that the back test looks amazing. And then as you go forward, the forward testing, it looks like garbage. So, but those are the places that I can start you off to look at, and then we can look at the other filters and we can see, any of these filters in here, what happens on these 15-minute ranges, with the 15-minute range filters. That's something interesting there that I want to optimize on this 5-minute range filter, or on an RSI, for example, consecutive candles, a distance from one of the pivots, a distance from a VWAP, every filter that exists, you can see how that filter could or would affect the scan based on different values of that filter, for example, so, position, we could say, oh, well, what happens if, in a position 5-day range, and we put it at, let's, break it down by 5% intervals. And we could see, geez, anything that's, under a certain amount on that range, it was a real bad loser, and anything that was over a certain amount started to look good, and that's how, we can do this. And it tells you in this column here, breaks down. I see there's a ton of stuff coming in. I'm going to circle to everybody in a moment, take a break from the optimizing. You can see how many trades were in each section of this 5-day range. So look, something that was in between 80 and 85% of its 5-day range had 5 trades, and 70 to 80% had 6 trades. And you can see what the average winning percent is on that, and the average profit, or not the average, but the profit factor is on that, and how much money it was made on that based on, these things in here, how many shares you took, your commissions per shares, and all those things like that. So it becomes this huge rabbit hole that anybody could go down. I do it all the time. But that's, that becomes a personal thing on what you want to see it optimized for. So hopefully that gives you something to work with, and we can come in back and try to circle to that again later. So Debbie, again, so on the multi-window, if we right click and we come to strategies, all right, and then we see all the strategies that are in a multi-window, you can go to any one of them. All right, so, arrow, and then here, and go open alert window, and it'll open the alert window. So now, I can get, all 3 of them open alert window. I think there's 3 in this one anyways. I don't even know where this came from. Just be careful not to uncheck any of them in the multi-window otherwise, because watch, you can uncheck strategies and then it's no longer active in the multi-window. I don't know there's necessary negative signals to pay attention to. It's going to be unique to each individual strategy. I think the big things you want to try to pay attention to a little bit more than anything else is maybe your time of day optimization, when the strategy starts and when it ends, and price range, I think, are 2 good places to start. And let's see, can we draw a VWAP line on a chart? So you can add VWAP to any chart. Get rid of all these things around here. Sorry, just trying to get myself organized. So 2 ways that you can add indicators to a chart. You can right click and you can come to indicators, okay? Or you have this line, this circle with the squiggly line in it, and that'll get you indicators as well. And VWAP is going to be somewhere here. Here you go, VWAP. All right, VWAP doesn't have a period to it. VWAP's just it's current to the day or current to the period. So if it's a 5-minute chart, it starts at, today. It starts at the beginning of today. If it's a daily chart, it starts, back as far as you're going on the chart, essentially. We do have anchored VWAP as well, if you want to anchor from a specific candle. So you would go on the drawing tool right here, the little pen or pencil, and you find that anchor, and then you can put an anchored VWAP, so you can see here this purple line. So I anchored the VWAP from that candle, and you can see what it does coming to that right there. CanSlim, I'm not familiar with what CanSlim is. But close console, CanSlim, current earnings, annual earnings. So I mean, you could build something like that. with what you're looking for. Let's see, what filters we have. So we come into configure the strategy here. Here's your earnings per share. Here's your estimated annual. Here's your quarterly earnings growth. So those would be your options to choose from there on any of that. There's no supply, demand, leader, institution, sponsorship, market direction. You're not going to have any of that, unfortunately. Can Slim, William J. O'Neill and them work with their own proprietary stuff as far as that goes. So you're going to be limited to what we have for fundamentals. We can look at fundamentals here. We can bring up a list of fundamentals. So market cap, shares outstanding, these things in here, held by insiders, held by institutions, cash, current debt, cash debt ratio, income debt ratio. You can create anything out of any of these here. Enterprise value, market cap ratio. So you've got a number of things in here. Are they going to be specifically what you put in there? Ken? No, not specifically what you put in there, but that's where you could head to. That's where I would point you to with that stuff. And yeah, of course, Debbie, you got it. You got it, Ken. So I was just trying to catch up on some questions that came in another spot for me here. Let's see, is there a way to tell TI not to devote any resources to a docked window by minimizing? No, if it's up and it's getting data, it's taking data. There's no way to isolate individuals. Like, I think I know to like the resource center and task manager, how you can set the priorities and things. No way to do that, unfortunately. If something's open, it's getting resources. I'd say maybe the only thing you can do as far as your graphics card is if you have it down, if it's a graphics card issue, but I don't think that's generally where most people come in. It's going to be just, too much data trying to come through the hose at one shot. Yeah, no, Debbie, when it's for you, just it's that amount of windows that you have. It's just it's more that can come through the pipe. There's no increasing that pipe. It is what it is. There's no amount of servers or any other load lifting to be done. It's just all that data coming through, especially with active windows. It's a lot. That's all there is to it. There's no way for us around that, unfortunately. Yesterday you showed me how to add lifetime high to my single stock window. Is it the same for adding lifetime low? I believe so. We have to look at what the coding is on it. But we can jump over there. So if we're on the home page, right, and we come to account management, here, if anybody wants to follow along, I'll put it in YouTube there. I'll put it in Zoom as well. All right, and so we can come to the account management page. And if we come to custom formulas, I'm not sure where it's going to be, if it's going to be in this doc or the other, but let's see, open a new tab. Let's scroll down. Price, most expected, T high, T low. 2-week high. Yep. So life underscore or low underscore life is the code that you want. And so you'd come to the formula editor. Well, first you can copy this, I'll post it in both if anybody's, following along. There we go. And so you take that code and you come to create new, post that in here, make sure it doesn't move over to the side like it did for me here. And then, give a description, whatever you want to call it. Its units is going to be dollars, and save it. Like I said, if it saves correctly, this is what it'll look like. If it saves incorrectly, for example, I'm going to put something there, and now you'll see it says error, and it's pointing to that error. And that's that. Get rid of that. 23. That's really the short and skinny of the simple part of customs. You got it, Shannon. So I think that thanks perfect means that we got it. I'll close this. Peter through an HESM. Got here. Oh, Hess. I didn't even know the ticker symbol for that. That's funny. Interesting. Off those earnings. Now they do a lot of refining, don't they? Also, used to be a big refiner. I don't know if they still are or not. If it can get through and hold this level going into tomorrow, that's a good looking chart right there as well. Really, 32 million in the float. Am I missing something? Is this interesting? Sorry, I'm just taking some screenshots and sharing them. But all the same, that's a good looking chart that's right there. Yeah, I don't know on the whatchamacallit, if it's possible there, Debbie, for more channels. So I always say I'm a simple user. What you see on my screen is really all I have. That, and I have this, and I have this. That's every single window I have in Trade Ideas open. And that's the most I'll ever have open. There's a few of them I don't even need anymore. I don't need this scan at all, but I just left it there because. And this one's been okay, but if I wouldn't need it. This one has been a little better for me lately, and this one's been pretty decent. So I just kind of like this one because it's my evening scan with a little twist to it as all. So, but I don't know if that's something that can be done or not as far as the channels go. I like, if I'm on my swing trades, I kind of like looking for rounded bottoms that are gonna bust. That's what I like on swing trades. That's why I kind of like this one here. And I would even go as far as to say a deeper rounded bottom going on here. Not a great illustration I'm trying to show. Those are the kind of things I'm looking at. When it comes to day trading, I'm looking at things like exactly like Frontline did. Oh, that was not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. I like to see, you know, first off, I know that energy is strong. I know shipping is strong. This is shipping and energy, number one. Number two, I liked how it was coming out of this consolidation that looked like that. And we had a gap up, we came down, we filled the gap, basically filled the gap right there, or just shy of it anyways. And as soon as we got this move back up, I said, that looks like something I want to be a part of. And so I was, and off to the races it went. But, you know, I like to wait and let setups happen, generally speaking. On occasion, if there's those like high flyers in the morning, you know, maybe in the first 15 minutes, I might jump in if I feel like there's a good risk reward entry on it. I'm not going to get whipsawed out of it in 3 seconds. But those are the kind of things I'm looking at. I mean, it's always a bummer, you know, when you set a price alert for something and it just, you know, green candle after green candle after green candle, it never gives you a pullback to try to get in. But I just can't chase stuff like that in general. You know, if it's a green candle and a green candle and a green candle, and we can get a few, you know, sideways candles, then, you know, then that's something I'll consider on a break. It's something that looks like it might break that range of price and volume. Yes, I do. It's more on day trading than swing trading. I do look at volume. You know, this was a concern here, this declining volume, but I also know the volume is going to decline through the day until you start to ramp up into the close. So while that declined like that, it kind of stayed flat to actually moving back up in volume for a good portion of the day after it bottomed out there. And so those are things that I look at as well. But I'm not really looking at, like, I don't care about head and shoulders and things like that. I like to see the patterns. You know, I don't trade them necessarily. A bull flags I'd rather see on a daily chart. I don't care about intraday bull flags. I mean, I'll note them, but I don't think they have as much power intraday as they do on daily. Okay, they're only drilling for oil. Maybe that's why that says 2014 now, because that was kind of throwing me off here with Hess. Is down here it said they're found in 2014, but I think that's when they made that switch, and like a lot of the Hess gas stations where I am all became speedways actually. So I know they did some kind of shuffling and restructuring, but what it exactly was, I didn't know. Do I have a cup scanner? I have the My Evening Scan, this one here. I'll share it here. It's capable of finding kind of rounded bottoms, but it's not. So put it in the Zoom, I put it in YouTube. But it's not, you know, I just happen to find patterns like that. It was never designed to actually do that. I was actually looking for stuff breaking out of a 20-day range. How do I use the Market Explorer? I only look at the strength alerts that come from it. That's it. You know, I mean, if you're looking like just the actual functions of it, you go new, Market Explorer. And then you'd right click it and server window, and you're going to come across all these scans in here. The only one that I'm really looking at is the strength alerts here. That's it. And if you want, you know, the user's guide, there's a link to the user's guide. So if you click that, that's going to bring you this, you know, you have this short video here, and this will go into most of the scans. Closing range breakout sidebar. So yeah, looks like we got a little catching up to do here, but Michael just dropped like 8 new scans in there in the last 2 days. Let's see what he put in there. He just put in, so in the last week, he put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He put in 10 new scans in the last week, or last 9 trading days or something like that. I think they're all kind of pretty clear what we're doing here, you know. Translating average crosses on dailies and these other time frames for buys and sells. My love site friends are back. So, oh yeah, so I shared that one, my evening scan here, my evening scan. So let's see if anything's coming through here that we're gonna like. And then let me know, you know, that's the, you know, my short and skinny on it as far as the Market Explorer goes. That's all I'm really using it for, those the TI strength alerts. So here's that window. There we go. You know, so they're all scored here. You know, this is Michael's relative strength algo, essentially. So that's a great looking chart right there. I just wish I had a little more volume in it. But like, you know, this is the stuff that I like. You know, we made a nice run up. We sold off. We pulled back to a level of support, and we've held that. I like that a lot right there. That's garbage. Kind of got away from us today on this one. It's a nice chart, but it got away. Going back to what I was just saying. Had this great run up, pulled back. All right, bounced around here. Nice move up. There we go. Wonder if it was coming through a day or two ago. FG was coming through the other day. Saw it there. So this came in the other day. So nice move off of that. Go. Stop it. There we go. Go. This was on another scan of mine today. I saw this had a very nice move in it today. Yeah, there's only one scan that I shared. I put it in the Zoom link already. Oh, you know what? Everyone. Sorry, I don't know why it does that. D3, there you go. I think that's the only scan that I shared. I wasn't putting this out, the links out to everybody. For some reason, I only went to, was only going to panelists. So strange when it does that to me. Yeah, so there's that scan. So that's, you know, that's how I use the strength alerts, or that's how I use the Market Explorer. I'm just really looking at the strength alerts. I mean, here's my thing. There's only so many things I can look at in a day. You know, I can only look at, you know, when I'm scanning in the after hours and the early morning, you know, I have, you know, an entire life to conduct aside from the work I do from Trade Ideas, you know, so I try to get in about 100 charts, you know, 100 charts a day between pre-market and post-market, just going through, looking at charts, looking at patterns, marking things up, you know, seeing if anything even interests me whatsoever. You know, there's just so much information I can consume in a day, you know, as a human being. And so that's why I don't, you know, run a lot of windows. I don't need a lot of windows. Yeah, you're welcome, Ken. How can we set up alerts based on our own criteria instead of using default stuff under search? Well, you can come to on the menu bar, drawings here. You can come to the menu bar and go new, and you can choose, do you want an alert window? All right. And you're going to have a configure window, and then you can start to have at it. Alert windows will generally come with some pre-configured stuff in it. Just delete the pre-configured stuff, get rid of, whatever values are in the filters that are there. If you don't like any of the columns, remove the columns, so you can select a column and move it this way. So these are the selected columns that it says up here, and get rid of them. And then you can come to search and start figuring out what you want to add to that scan. With an alert window, you're going to start with the alert or the event. You scroll down, you start to find your filters, and there's a search bar up here. So if you're looking for RSI, for example, there's everything we have on RSI. If you're looking for, something with an average, average number of prints, or average daily volume, or average true range, or average directional index, if you're looking for anything index wise, you want directional index, or directional indicator, things of that nature. If the criteria you need isn't under search, and we most likely don't have it, Adam. I mean, you can send in an email to us, support@trade-ideas.com, and tell us what you're looking for, and we'll let you know what we have or what's closest going to be to get to that. We have in this search here for the alert windows, we have over 500 different items. So, there's just so much that we can add to the software before, you start to get like the diner menu where nobody's ordering anything. Or, nobody orders from one section of the menu. And then let's see, simple. If I want to be alerted when a stock crosses above 3-day VWAP, do I put a 0 and a minimum? All right, if you've got a ticket in there, myself or someone will get to you. We never dodge a ticket. We always get to everything. And if you just want to type here, Adam, I might be able to give you a quicker answer than whoever's in support answering questions right now. So if you're looking for 3-day VWAP, you're going to want VWAP. VWAP. All right, so distance VWAP 3. Add that filter, and you want to see its stocks that cross above it. So if you want to see, you're trying to catch it just before it crosses, essentially, you're going to want to put like a maximum down of, like, let's say minus 0.1. And if you're trying to get it when it's like maybe just barely crossed, maybe you want to put like the 0.25 here. And so you'll see stuff that's in between minus 0.1% below the VWAP to a maximum of 0.25% above the VWAP. And that's how you could do that there. As far as the filter goes. And then if you're trying to make it as an alert window, anytime anybody's trying to do anything crosswise, you want to use the 5-minute high or the 5-minute low if you're looking for a cross down. That's going to be the best that you can get. With crosses, we don't do well. That's just something we don't do well. No ifs, ands, or buts, or excuses. Don't shoot me. I'm not the one that makes the stuff. Just troubleshoots this end of it here. I built what I thought were going to be some amazing cross alerts myself. And every time I build a cross alert, if it's finding the crosses I want, but every alert is garbage. So I stopped. I gave up on cross alerts, just not my bag. P10. Yeah, P10 had a great run the last 2 days. I grabbed some yesterday. I grabbed some more today. Hopefully I'm not wrong. What is your current favorite stock race? Yeah, it's this one here, the 15-minute Bollinger Band one. Although I'll be honest, today it wasn't great. Today was the first day that I thought it pumped out a lot of garbage. But here. So there it goes into YouTube. Here it comes into Zoom. Yeah, you know, sometimes the values of those filters trip me up and I have to use very often the show me function. But unfortunately in VWAP it doesn't work properly. But like the show me function generally will update right away. So it's telling me, you know, show me stocks, you know, where the RSI is at least 65, for example, and it's got a 65 in the minimum. And watch as if I put this in and I put an 85 here, you're going to see this update right here. Now it's showing me between 65 and 85, and I remove the 85, goes back to the 65. Unfortunately, some of these don't work that way. They work like a histogram like this, and it's just not really what you want to see, but it kind of is what it is. The other part of that question was, does the VWAP 3 make it an anchored VWAP? Yes, it makes it an anchored VWAP. Yep, because you're anchoring it from 3 candles ago, essentially. So either VWAP is just continuously running for a period, or it's anchored to a specific spot. Those are the 2 options on VWAP. Do you have a good scan to look at the overall sentiment of market in terms of different sectors dominating? You have access to, well, let's see if I did this here. Okay, so I can share this with you here. And it's not, you know, you have to do the analyzing, of course. That's for anybody that wants it, go on little chats. But I created a global list of a bunch of ETFs that are sectors. So if we come to the configure, we go to symbols lists. This is only looking at a sector analysis list that I created. That's it. I think there's like 70 some odd names in it. And make sure I do this right. Yeah, okay. And then the Windows specific filters are completely empty. So it's all it is a watch list of these sectors. And, you know, here's the company names, position and range for the year. It's change percent from the open, it's position in 20-day range, position in 5-day range, or change in 5 days, excuse me. Change since the close, price, and the actual symbols. And, you know, you can get a pulse of what's going on, you know, on all these different sectors. You know, you've got, you know, oil here, financials and steel and exploration of energy and agriculture and materials and equally weighted S&P 500, and there's the SPY and regional banking and another financial sector. Materials, you got your REITs up here, gold miners, junior gold miners. You know, the list goes on and on and on. You know, your Chinese internet stocks, shippers, jets, cloud computing, clean energy, bio. There's one set of bios, communications, so on and so forth. I don't know about the Lord's work, but hopefully I'm appeasing the market gods by just sharing what was, you know, shared with me several moons ago. And, you know, you can customize this any way you want it afterwards. You know, if you don't like the columns that are in here, you know, you can right click, come into configure, and you could say, gee, you know, I don't care about a position in 20-day range, but you might want to see, I want to add a daily RSI column. So you can go RSI and click daily and you can go show column. And now when I come back out, watch 20 days is going to disappear. And now we got an RSI here on this side instead. But the idea behind this is I created a sector list. And I put it as a universal list that all users can access. And so this is a scan that I happened to put together and shared like that for you all. Yeah, I shared it up above. I'll share it again for you real quick. Let me find that cloud link again. Load from clouds. SEC. If I could type, that would help. Clumsy fingers. Paste. There you go. Yeah, look, it's a tough market. It's funny. I was on a long call with Andy today. We had a meeting with a broker, some stuff we're trying to get with them. And me and Andy had like a debrief call afterwards. And I said to him, I know this is a tough market, but I mean, it's like every other bear market. Or am I missing something? And he said, no, yeah, it's a hard market. Bear markets are hard. That's all there is to it. Things don't run like you thought they would. You get a bounce, you got to sell that bounce real quick, things like that. I was like, all right. I was just like, while I do believe it's tough, and especially for people that have never traded a bear market or haven't traded very much in general, if you got, I'll say less than, if you're somewhere in the range of me, like 5 years of trading or less, this stuff is tough. I mean, it's been tough for me. But I said, I just don't think it's I bought some different stocks in 2008 and 9 and 10, that I quote unquote, I liked. Didn't know anything about trading then. It was just companies that I thought were strong and, I liked their products and, shopped at their stores or whatever. So I bought some stuff and, things ended up all right for me through that. And I, followed along with, whatever finance personalities during that time. And I just said I felt like, that was much tougher. And, even though it was, my early, 20s around the dot-com bubble, I said, I felt like, when I was still following finance news, like things are much crazier then. He goes, oh no, stuff was way much crazier then. He was like, it's just that, you have a whole literally a generation of investors and traders that are used to easy money from the Fed, and every dip comes and gets bought within a month or two. The bear market of 2018, bear market of 2020, those bear markets lasted very little time compared to, those bear markets that lasted in 2000 and 2008. You're talking a couple of years of bear markets there. And depending on what sectors that you looked at, they were even longer. So, he said there's some bright spots to be had with energy and things like that. So it was just, it was interesting to get, because we talk a lot through Slack, but it's typing back and forth. So it was interesting to get his perspective in an actual conversation with him about it. And that, more or less, what am I seeing? Am I seeing what I think I'm seeing, or am I just out of my mind? A little bit of both, I suppose. JC's a smart guy. I definitely watch what he says, but I do all my own whatever. I don't watch the dollar price. I don't watch any of those things like that. So, JC has a much broader view of things than I do. The way he does things, he's so funny because he'll, talking with him, he'll be the first to tell you I'm the worst day trader on the planet, speaking about himself. And so it's funny to me because I'm like, gee, with all the knowledge you have, the charts that you look at and everything like that, I would think you could, you'd be a good day trader. And he's like, nope, horrible day trader, hate it, and I'm horrible at it. So it just, it's funny to listen to someone like that because, he puts up such quality charts on Twitter all the time, through All-Star charts and all that. 2008 crash. Yeah, that's exactly it, Debbie. Like you said, there's a lot, just everything was crashing. There was no place to hide in 2007, 2008. I mean, again, we're sitting up here at some, multi-year highs right now in the XOP, the XLE, we're sitting up here at multi-year highs on this, so there are places to find. You have to be very careful. You got to be picky and choosy. You might not want to stick around for very long when you're up in things, but there was no charts in 2008 and 9 that looked like this that were not inverse ETFs, essentially. No chart looked like this back then. Yep, exactly. Perfect circle, but nope, he's no bueno on that. So he says anyways. I don't know if I believe him. I bet he sneaks in some day trades once in a while. He must. Something I stole from him is looking at these kind of, bases, the bigger the base, the bigger the boom, he's always said. And, I've certainly been a proprietor of that. You can look at this and call this a long swath and cup and handle right here that goes on to a massive run. This was something that I was watching, at the beginning of last year. I said, geez, this has this feel to me, the XLE and the XOP. And lo and behold, it did. So, all right, we're at 427. Any way to be able to click into each sector based on that list? There's no way to click into the sector. You can do this here if you have doc channel bar. You can open a doc channel bar. You can go to sector status on the doc channel bar. I think this will give me what I'm looking for, or it won't. Yeah, so you've got all these different sectors, some of the more main sectors, and then stocks that are in those sectors in each one of these. And so you get a breakdown like that from a sector status doc channel bar. I mean, if you want to start really digging into stuff also, the symbols list. So you can come in and you can go configure and you can go to symbols list and go to add existing list. Hold on, let me widen this out. You can go to add existing list and you have this here. So where the heck am I? So you have these sector ETFs in here, and then you have these sectors here, and you can start to really break stuff down into sectors. I mean, look how far I can break it down. Sector agricultural, crop production, oil seed and grain farming, other grain farming, you can really start to bust stuff down in these things here, fishing, hunting and trapping, fishing, hunting, other, manufacturing. So you can start to break stuff down, and then you can add any one of these to a scan. So the scan's only looking at those sectors like that. There's no way to do within the scan. You can't click in the scan and on the SIL, for example, and say, all right, SIL, give me your holdings like that. No way to break it down like that. No, I know I can't believe it's 429 already. And I gotta get ready for the softball game tonight. So, as always, I thank you folks very kindly for popping in, hanging out, and all those good things. Again, on my walkout here, I like to bring over the education page. The user's guide. As you go forward, you gain more context of the software. I really recommend getting involved in this user's guide. Really break stuff down. There's a lot of repetitive stuff in it, but because things repeat over and over again within the software. Obviously, getting started is how you found me on Zoom. 20 introductory lessons, really just point and click lessons, no sound or anything. Again, context matters. I think someone that's in the first hour of the software, this isn't a great idea. Someone who's in their first, at the end of the first week, maybe gets a lot more out of this than the first hour. The daily support, you're going to find us Monday through Friday at noon Eastern, and then me again at 3:30 Eastern. On a personal note, I will not be here Friday. I will not be here Friday, so there'll be no support session on Friday at 3:30. It's a long weekend, so get away from the screens early on Friday. Get out there, walk, journal, video journal, audio journal, whatever you got to do. Get away from the screens early on Friday. You can guarantee that on Friday, you probably find some okay volume for about the first hour of trading. You're going to find the volume is going to get sucked out like a vacuum on Friday between the Fed speaking this week and the long holiday weekend and the tough market it's been. So free trading room, if you're not in there with Barry, you're doing yourself a disservice. In my personal opinion, daily webinars, they will resume after the test drive ends, that bi-weekly. So Monday, Wednesday, then Tuesday, Thursdays, the following week, and so on and so forth. And what I really want to highlight to anybody is I learned almost everything I know from trading between these two items right here, the room and those webinars. Nearly everything I know about trading came from those. Some of the more quote unquote CMT fancy stuff, obviously in the last, 6 months, I'm getting ready to take the exam in a couple of weeks for level 1. Obviously that's a little different, but most of what I do for trading and I apply to trading came right from this and this right here. So just throw that out there. Tons of videos. You can search them up. And last but not least, what I really like to highlight is this back to basics with Michael Noss. Again, I can never hammer this home enough. He literally starts with what is a stock. And I know there's people that probably laughing at themselves like, oh, who doesn't know what a stock is? Look, I didn't know what a candlestick chart was 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I had no clue about candlestick charts. Or maybe 5.5 years ago now. But my point being is we all start somewhere. I have no finance background whatsoever. Everything I know is I learned through, YouTube videos, this software, these webinars, Barry's trading room, so on and so forth, and so Michael literally starts it from there. Person that's, got the experience that Michael has, he's a slow paced person in the sense of, he doesn't go over things too quickly. He speaks very clear, I think. He goes over indicators. He goes over how to use the indicators, what they mean, and you can get as complicated or as simple as you want with this stuff. So I really, really pay attention to these videos. Doing yourself, if you're, you're yearning for more knowledge, if you need more knowledge, if you're trying to get up to speed on these things, you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not watching these things. So thank you again, everybody. I very much appreciate it. I'll cut the screen sharing out. We'll stop there first. And I will be back just the YouTube side of things tomorrow, Wednesday, right? Yeah, Wednesday. And that'll bring us into Thursday to round out my week here personally. And